505 Sports Venture Program. We're coming to you from high above Central Avenue, the studio of ProView Networks. I've got Adrian, our producer, behind the glass, Steve Davis up the stairs in the big chair, and we're grateful to be here with you today. Before I get to my special guest, and I'm going to give you a hint, we're going to discuss Lobo baskets today. I want to talk to you about where we are with 505 SVF. What we are doing now, we're moving into a very important time and in a very important program for us, and we're calling it our retention move. So if you're paying attention to Lobo Athletics, you know not only the men, but the women basketball teams are enjoying incredible success on the court. We have this thing that you're all familiar with called the transfer portal. Well, as Rich Pitino says, any one of his guys could walk into his office this afternoon and say, "Hey, coach, I'm leaving." Well, we at 505 SVF are dedicated to creating the best student experience for our student athletes here at the University of New Mexico. So as a result, we're coming to you, the public, and saying, hey, we need your help. We're all in this together. Let's do it now. So I'm urging you, come to our website, 505sports.org. Check out our Instagram, 505SVF. We're there. We're promoting the student athletes. And our goal now is 110% retention. You want to see our young players back for another year? It's up to you. You can help and you can make a difference. So once again, 505sports.org. Check it out. It's our retention move. We'll be back in a minute with our special guests. Stay with us.
Albuquerque's leader in sports is ProView. From pros to prep, all your favorite action. All your favorite talk shows. Find it on ProView Networks.
What's going on, Lobo Nation? Ja'Cory Crossing Mirror here.
And I'm Devin Dampier. The Lobo football team is going through some changes, but we're here to stay.
We'll put in the work on the field and in the weight room, but we'll need great help off the field.
505 Sports Venture is leading the charge in the NIL space.
And you can be part of it.
Shorty, she better than all my intentions. Locked in, shorty, you got my attention. See your baby, I get you the business. Touchdown and pay you a visit.
All right, everybody, thanks for hanging with us. We're back at the 505 Sports Venture Program. I'm going to welcome, without much introduction, my guest, Rob Portnoy. How you doing, Rob?
Great to see you, Kurt.
Thanks for coming. Well, you know what we want to talk about. Lobos ranked in the top 25. Had a tough game last week. Could have won very easily, one or two shots either way. I think there was way too much talk about, slowing the Lobos down, having the guard, having Degenhardt bring it up. Jalen House makes two more threes, the Lobos win the game. But last night, a road win against a team that hadn't lost in the conference at home. So give me overall thoughts on last night.
Well, let's put that road win into context for just a second, Kurt. You're talking about a team, you have to go back to the 2012, 2013, 2014 seasons. That's the last time the Lobos went on the road, won 3 consecutive road games in Mountain West play. This team is built differently. We're looking at last year. The team was 19-3 after 22 games. A team that had been ranked already a couple of times. Well, they lost their next 4 in a row. They fell out of the rankings for good, never made it back to the top 25. We know what happened. They didn't make the NCAA tournament. NIT, first postseason since 2013-2014. But this year's team, after those same 22 games, was 18-4, coming off the loss to Boise. And Coach Pitino's talked about it. He said, this part of the schedule, January and February and into March, are going to define this year's team. Well, it's certainly off to a good start because those 3 years, 12, 13, 14, the last time the Lobos were able to win 3 consecutive road games in league, well, not only did this year's team do that, they won them all by double digits. This team is really good, Kurt.
Yeah, it appears that way. It was sort of like little back and forth in the beginning, and then boom, they kind of took over. And it's, as a Lobo fan who lives and dies on every possession, sitting there watching this game, and all of a sudden the lead's 10, and I'm like, oh my God, it's 10. It's 10. We're 10 on the road. The team we're playing isn't as talented as the Lobos. If at any point the Lobos turn on the defense, control the ball, handle the ball with care, they're not going to get beat there. So that was key. Individual performances, Toppin.
Oh my gosh, JT Toppin. So here's the thing, and I talked with Coach Pitino about this in our pregame conversation before the game. We were looking back at Boise, and he said the thing that troubled him the most was the Lobos' inability to finish defensive possessions. He's talked about rebounding with this team as being a huge difference maker. And they rebounded their tails off against Wyoming. And we went back to the San Diego State game and talked about the toughness that the Lobos showed in that game against one of the biggest, strongest, most physical teams in the conference, if not the biggest. Well, they didn't really answer that bell against Boise State. Well, the sleeping giant awoke, and they dominated Wyoming on the glass. No second chance opportunities. New Mexico is able to run off the others' misses, not just off the steals and turnovers. They can take it off the glass and get out in the break, and they showed it against Wyoming.
Yeah, that's just, I think Lobo fans or any basketball fan tends to take that for granted, running off the possession change, not the steal, not the pick six, so to speak. Lobos get the ball. House had 8 rebounds. So he's getting rebounds, and then they just go. And you can see the team, Wyoming scrambling, disorganized. And, of course, when you come down on that fast break sort of situation, it opens up the outside. And they started to knock down threes. Big difference.
You call it the secondary break. All you're looking for is a numbers advantage of any kind. And basically, the way Coach Pitino talks about it, we want to play against a defense that's not set as often as possible. If you can get them just with their side turned or scrambling just a little bit or looking to locate a player to guard, then you've got the advantage. And the Lobos take advantage of that all the time.
Yeah, just amazing. We'll talk more about individual players, but one of the best stories so far in the season has to be Mustafa Amzil. 1 for 24 at one time. Renowned three-point shooter at Dayton, all-around ball player, couldn't hit the side of the backboard. And all of a sudden now, regular contributor.
Yeah, you mentioned the 1 for 24. His first 3, the 100th of his career, came against St. Mary's. After he made that shot, a stretch of 10 games in that 1 for 24, where he missed 21 consecutive three-point shots. We finally saw one go in. It rolled around the rim. It probably hit every part of the rim. It hit the backboard multiple times. It was the craziest looking thing ever. And somehow, some way, that opened up the basket for him. And he's been a revelation in conference play. He hit a huge 3 against Wyoming when, you mentioned it, the lead was down to 10, and it felt like things were getting a little tenuous. He never hesitated. He's got his confidence back. And he's shown that he can do a little bit more than just shoot threes, too. He can get to the rack. He's an impressive player.
Yeah, gets to the rack. A couple of us who discuss Lobos play-by-play are amazed. He appears to be a much better offensive rebounder than defensive rebounder. And we've all decided, our crack committee has decided he's better on offensive rebounds because he can put the ball right back up, and he sees an opportunity to score. But he has been he's a solid ball player. He played 3 years in the A10. You have to look out. You look at Dayton now; they lose him as a starter, and they're ranked higher than the Lobos. They're having a great year at Dayton, so he's had a great season. I know personally he really was struggling, his confidence thing, and it was tough because he's such a good ball player. But there you go. So he's back. We've got Toppin, freshman of the year. She might be all Mountain West player. But the future's bright. Big game Saturday, sold out. UNLV, hang with us. We're going to talk about that game and the rest of the Lobo season right after this break. So.
We aren't all born with the same opportunities. But it's the people who care that change everything.
Get ready, Sprout, get ready.
My coach, my teacher, my older sisters, my grandma, my brother, my tutor, my dad, and my mom.
As New Mexicans, it's up to all of us to do our part.
So that no child goes without love.
And no family has to do it all on their own.
They're all our children. Every single person is called to make a difference in the life of a child.
It's up to all of us to do our part.
To pull together.
Pull together.
Pull together.
To make New Mexico the best place to be a kid.
If you're drunk, blasted, intoxicated, rip, plastered, destroyed, bruh. If you're like this, you shouldn't be driving.
With our special guest, Rob Portnoy, the voice of the Lobos. We've rehashed the Wyoming victory last night. Great win on the road. And we've got traditional rival, UNLV running Rebels Saturday. What do you see?
The Boone brothers. They are really good and really athletic. And it's the type of player, right, that seems to have given the Lobos trouble over the last decade. The super athletic, whether it's big or wing, and they are both, one of each. They're long, they're versatile, and Caleb Boone was literally unstoppable on the block when the Lobos lost in the Thomas and Mack. We know that his brother, Keelan, can go off for 5, 6, 7 threes at any moment. So they're quite a tandem.
Yeah, we got, Lobos got spanked out there. It was inside and outside. I mean, he was on fire from outside. I have to tell you, though, I watched the game they played last week against San Jose State. And I turn it on. They're on the road, and they're getting killed. They're down 14, 12 points. Second half starts. They move it a little closer. At the 10-minute mark, they take the lead. They close the game out going 14 for 14, and one was in the paint. They were hitting at three-pointers. The little guard was drilling. They went off. So the record may not they're in the hunt. They're 2 games out of first place. So this Mountain West lineup, if you saw what happened last night, Utah State loses at home. Boise State gets thumped, scores 60 points at Colorado State. It's a 4-way tie for first. But the running Rebels are tough. And we were talking about it. It's kind of a quirky thing. Doesn't matter whether they're good or bad. The UNLV Rebels draw here.
Oh, yeah.
And so that's our demographic. Guys like me remember the 70s and 80s when they were dominant.
Dark to shark, baby. Yeah, no, you mentioned the little guard. Deion Thomas is really good. It's a great challenge for the Lobo guards, and I can't wait for that because the beauty of this year's team, Hunter and I were talking about this, the legend, Hunter Green, my broadcast partner, one of the Lobo all-time greats. The Lobos now have the ability with the three guards, with Dent and Mashburn and House, and the improved defensive capabilities of Mash. Dent and House, we know what they can do. House is the best on-ball defender that I've ever seen. Coach Pitino says the same thing. With a guy like that, the Lobos have multiple people that they can run at that guy and expend his energy, because it doesn't mean that one player the entire game has to be spending all of his time on that one piece of the opposing team's offense. The Lobos can even rotate True Washington in there on him if they want to, and he's got extra size. It's the depth of this year's roster and the quality of the depth of this year's roster that makes the Lobos so dangerous, I think.
Yeah, no doubt. You mentioned True, and I wanted to bring him up. He's hit a slump outside shooting, no doubt about it. He doesn't look confident. His shot looks a little off. But last night he made a play, a steal, took it on the baseline, and laid it in. You see that just natural talent. We're spoiled with Toppin as a freshman who's off the charts. But True Washington, basketball smarts, incredible ability. He's another one. He's a freshman. So the future is bright. But that play just, smacked it away in the corner, went back and forth, and then got to the rim and laid it in. So, yeah, you can play True. You can play all four of them, then take a shot at the kid. And that's the other thing that I think we're spoiled as Lobo fans, the depth of this team.
Well, the unbelievable talent. You mentioned True Washington, and I feel like Hunter and I talked about this as well. He's gotten into a spot where he feels maybe just a little bit too much urgency when he gets his minutes to make something happen. And it's when he lets it come to him that it happens. And like what you said, just play defense, and then he scores off of his defense with that great baseline run to the rim. Maybe too quick to throw up the three-point shot. Just let it reverse a couple more times. Let it happen in the flow. He's such a good player, and he's such a good role player off the bench for this team. Just let it come to you, young fella.
Yeah, we haven't seen that Euro step down the lane in a couple of games. So where let the game come to you. He's on the wing, and the ball's been rotated, and he's got his man beat. And
right, you get the defense chasing a little bit, and now you have the advantage. Yeah.
I can only imagine, next year, obviously, and this is retention month, everybody. I won't want to go into next year's lineup too much, but I really do. We will not have Jalen House back, but the rest of the starting five potentially all could come back. I think that spot could be True Washington in there for Jalen House. And we will see an incredible on-the-ball defender, just a completely different one, not a high-energy...
Whirling dervish.
Tasmanian devil, yes. Jalen House. We'll see a very strong... Physical, street smart. One of the guys who has more basketball smarts than the average Bear is True Washington.
Oh, my gosh. That backcourt's pretty good looking. The one you just mentioned, Dent on the point, your shooting guard is Jamal Mashburn Jr., your combo guard is a super sophomore, True Washington. I'm liking that backcourt.
I like it. Super sophomore, J.D. Toppin. It's retention month, 505sports.org. Don't forget it, 505sports.org. Okay, so we've got UNLV coming up. Always a big game. Fans love it. Running Rebels. People like us still remember Tarkanian. But then the rubber's going to meet the road. We get Vegas at home. Don't want to lose any more. Don't want to lose any games. One game at a time.
Especially those home games.
But a road trip, a real road trip,
monster,
where we know the Lobos are staying out on the road. So we'll talk about that. That goes to Reno. We see our buddy Steve Alford, and then San Diego State. All right, guys, stay with us. We're going to take a break and come back for segment number 3.
Albuquerque's leader in sports is ProView. From pros
Seriously? You expect me to drive while you aren't wearing seatbelts?
What's the worst that can happen?
Okay, welcome back. This is our kickoff to retention month, 505sports.org. Check it out. You want to retain our great student athletes, it's 505sports.org. All right, Rob. So now we've got a few minutes to wrap up. Road trip after Vegas, a real road trip. The Lobos will.
In that one.
It was terrible. Mo got fouled like 4 times. I honestly think it was almost, it wouldn't be a direct Steve Alford order, but I think there was discussion in the huddle there that if you're going to foul somebody, it's Morris, because he was having a tough time at the foul line. He actually missed a foul shot after a potential N1. Lobo they played a tough non-conference schedule, lost a couple of games, didn't start out the season. They lost early on in the Mountain West. They're tied for first. Look at the rest of the schedule. I think they have to be one of the favorites, if not the favorite, to win the regular season still. So title goes to San Diego State. That's not going to happen.
I'll go
is
possible.
5 is possible, but 4 seems to be almost sure
inevitable.
Thing, right?
Yeah.
So it's a great time for the Mountain West. Exciting period, but we'll see. Vegas, Reno, San Diego, wild time. So we go from there. We've got rankings. We've got young players developing.
I was going to follow up on the computer thing.
Yeah, but I think Rich Pitino said it quite a bit. He kind of envisions the Mountain West replacing the Pac-12 as the key league west of the Mississippi, which certainly is. And we'll see realignment, all the litigation going on with the transfer portal and whatnot. It's an interesting time.
He's talked about, in this region, in this part of the country, New Mexico being the Connecticut of the mountain region. I liken it to the Gonzaga of the West Coast state. Who knows? Could that one be for all the marbles in Logan in March? Incredible. If you get one of those early in this tough stretch to finish the year, then you get to the finish line, and if you get a second one, maybe you win the Mountain West regular season outright.
Well, that would be great. I'm going to make a prediction right here and now. We'll write it down. A 4-way tie for first. It ends in a 4-way tie. Until next time, we'll be back. This has been the 505 Sports Venture Program. Thanks for being with us. We'll see you again next week.
What's going on, Little Nation? Ja'Cory Cross-Camara
How's
here.
job?
And I'm Devin Dampier. The Lobo football team going through some changes, but we're here to stay.
We'll put in the work on the field and in the weight room, but we'll need your help off the field.
505 Sports Venture is